Okay, I'm gonna level with you, because I'm always honest with you guys out there. It took us a long time to put up the best of the year video. Basically,
don't drag me into this.
Hey, now. I'll get to that.
I did my job. I sat here, and I said what the movies were.
Yes, you did. And I'll shoot with you guys. It was, I believe, 2 weeks prior to us putting it up, that the channel putting it up, not just us, as in us, the channel, putting it up. I put up the video 2 weeks later than we shot it because I wanted to make sure we had proper content for Saturday. I'll work on that in 2016, don't worry. We'll get proper content coming to Saturday. But we put out the best of the year last week. And this week, we're going to talk about the worst. Now, there always seems to be this deal where people care about the worst of something. Whether it's the worst movie of the year, the worst song of the year, the worst TV show of the year. Just, when it's the worst, it's usually the best when it comes to views. So, we're going to continue that, apparently, tonight. And we're going to talk about the worst films of 2015. Now, there's a lot of movie content in January and February, obviously because of the award shows. And we've got a BAFTA video coming out with Ashley. And we've also done the Guilds video, which is out, which is, a lot of that is already over. And we still have Spirit Awards and, yes, our Academy Awards predictions, our final ones. That's still coming. So, until February is over, we're going to have a lot of movie content here on Pop. So, that being said, let's get to it. The top 10 worst movies of 2015. AJ, you're going to start, as always, and your dishonorable mention.
My honorable mention is The Transporter Refueled.
Ooh. Ouch.
It's a sequel nobody wanted.
Nope.
With a cast nobody knows.
Right.
With shitty action scenes.
Correct.
Idiotic plots. Most of which are pointless. They, cancel each other out. And just all around, it made Hitman look decent.
I don't know about that.
And we saw, oh no, Hitman is quite a step above this. I mean, if you look at the Star Amount reviews, it only has half a star more, but that's significant.
Sometimes it really is.
So yeah, I struggle. I think this wasn't this the one with the they were the robbers, only they were the women with the wigs.
Yeah,
and it's we're gonna do all this stuff to be secretive,
such
but
a stupid plot.
It's we're trying to be incognito by being as conspicuous as possible. Yeah, there's really no sign of the other movies in this. I don't even know what this is.
You might as well just call it something else, obviously, because it doesn't need to be connected to the series at all.
Oh, well, and it was
in more ways than one.
Just as soon as it left theaters, it was pretty much in stores. I saw it.
$5 bin.
Yeah, I saw it used at the store around here. It felt not long after it came out.
My question is, who bought it first off, and then brought it back used?
Well, typically, I think people sometimes do that. They'll buy movies and then they'll kind of get some money back by giving them back. And
they'll vacuum pack it at their video store and then take it back to another Walmart. I mean...
and they just... Somebody bought Transporter Refueled as soon as it came out, took it right back, it got a used sticker slapped on it, and it was right where it belonged on the cheap rack. Mere months after it came out in theater.
Probably $5 bin at Walmart somewhere down the line.
Where it will continue to not be bought.
Indeed.
Alright, before I go into the top 10, I will just say there is one movie that was here last time we did this, that by its placement should still be here, which is Vice, the movie with Thomas Jane and Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
But that movie is so far gone out of my head, and I figure it's not even something people really know about, and they really shouldn't care about. So I just decided to not even list it.
You don't want awareness for this movie. That's how much you hate it. So that makes sense.
There's a couple of movies, too, that didn't make this because of this, which I mentioned those in their reviews. So I don't want to say their names, because it's a bad word now.
There's a half-year video, too. If you want to know the worst of the half-year, I'll put a link in the description bar.
But in the meantime, I do have a list of 10 here. Number 10 is going to be Point Break.
Oh, God.
Really, it just kind of comes from the fact that even if it wasn't a remake of a movie that is notorious for how awesome it is, this would still be a boring piece of shit. But looking at it like that, though, you have so many, like, a lot of the stuff that made that movie great. And to think that the guy that shot that movie is the director of this one. So there's still a recurring mind here.
Right.
But they just took everything that made the other one great and decided to change that stuff to make it not great. It was like they intentionally made it worse. And that's just mind-boggling to me. And it's just, I don't understand how that's not even a movie that needed. Like, what was that movie going to benefit being? Like I said, I defend remakes in general because it's just you know, seeing things through another vision can be fine. Correct. I'm not just going to blindly hate something because it's a remake. It could be, you know, it could be another Departed for all we know.
You never know.
But I'm not quite sure how a Point Break remake seemed beneficial to anybody. Especially when the only recognizable names in it are Edgar Ramirez and Ray Winstone. I don't know who the fuck that guy playing Johnny Utah was, but I kind of hope I never see him again.
Teresa Palmer's in it, too.
Yeah, she was. She had like 3 scenes. And then
that's what I remember of that movie.
She had 3 scenes and they fucking killed her. And she was supposed to be like the big love interest.
She had to be scantily clad, too, and that was pretty much... That was all she did.
I'm telling you, that's why I didn't like her at first, because they just gave her fucking parts like that. But yes, there's really no point to take one of the most exciting movies of all time and make it this really, really dull bullshit. That's basically... It's kind of like those... You know those action movies that just kind of came and went, that were in theaters for like a week in like the early 2000s, like from 2000 to 2002? Mm-hmm. It's basically one of those movies. With the very, very, very vague plot of the original movie. And that's just... This just never should have happened. This just never should have fucking happened. Number 9 is The Gallows. Which is a movie that apparently found some fans.
Who?
I learned.
Oh yeah, never mind. I gotcha.
Well, no, just a few people I've actually heard take to it.
I'm sorry.
And this whole idea that I don't really... It's a found footage horror movie. Do I really need to explain why it's so bad?
We'll talk about it later.
If you've seen at least... Like, maybe if you've, like, just seen Blair Witch, you don't know. Or maybe you saw Willow Creek or something, you don't quite get it. But if you've seen enough found footage movies, do I really need to explain why this movie sucks?
No.
And the main thing is, you have a lot of shitty found footage movies. There was a long list of them over the past few years. I think I've reviewed, like, fucking 20 of them.
At least. Probably more.
This is like the bottom of that list. And this actually got a theatrical release. It didn't last long.
No.
But it got a theatrical release, which is really surprising. And there are some extremely, extremely shitty found footage movies out there that went straight to video that would deserve a theatrical release before this one.
Agreed.
They tried, like I said, one of their biggest mistakes was the way they marketed it. They tried to make it this, like they were making the next horror icon.
It was a cool concept when they were building it up.
The only cool thing to come out of this movie is, my dad went somewhere and, like, I don't know if it was a raffle or something or what it was, but he won a shirt for this movie. Nice. That was like, and it was like the athletic department is what it looked like. And, like, that's actually a really cool shirt. It's a shame it's for this movie.
Just pretend it's something else.
So, yeah, there are bad found footage movies, and then there are just... If there's one thing that's good about the existence of The Gallows, it's the fact that maybe if we get more movies like it, that genre will die much sooner than it would have.
Would be nice.
Yes. Speaking of weird fan bases, my number 8 is The Duff. I mentioned this in the other video. People really like this movie.
I really like Mae Whitman, and I didn't like this movie.
I really don't have much to add to what I said in the other video, because...
It's a rant, so go back and watch it.
As I was getting ready to tell you the words, I was like, I think I already said this in the review in that other video, so I'd just be repeating myself, but it's just... While watching this movie, I thought that I was going to be watching one of those movies that became notoriously bad. Because there are just so many bad ideas in it.
Right.
And just characters that just I think we're supposed to like them. That one guy in particular, I think we're supposed to really like. And like in any other movie, like just slap National Lampoon at the top of this movie.
Oh yeah.
And release it straight to video. And this would be like the butt of jokes. I just cannot for the life of me think what people saw in this, or what they think is likable about it, or relatable even. Not to mention, I just can't stress enough. I'm sorry to turn into you. I give you crap for just saying, like, your review of a movie is the actress is hot in it. But it's true. The whole thing is designated ugly fat friend.
Right.
Not many of that stuff describes Mae Whitman.
No. Nope.
I mean, am I seeing her in a different way than the rest of the world? Or did you cast the designated ugly fat friend as somebody who's not those things?
Exactly.
How is this supposed to work? Like, on that, you failed in the casting. Before you even turned the cameras on, this was a failure.
You mean Tyler Lee and not another teen movie?
Kyler.
I thought.
But the thing about it, though, is...
But still.
I don't know if that's the point.
I think it might be.
But with the way that... Not the way the movie depicts it.
The movie doesn't know what it wants to do with it.
Well, like I said, it's like trying to be a female version of Angus.
Yeah, it's exactly
But where that movie was really touching and relatable for people, like, even if you're not, like, a fat kid, you could still feel Angus's pain in one way or another.
Right.
Because of how genuine that movie is and that performance. You can see him in The Big Short, by the way, for, like, a second at the very beginning. That dude, Angus could be in a Best Picture winner now. Possibly.
Could be. We shall find out.
Just thank fucking God he wasn't in this. Because this is just an insult. Speaking of insults, my number 7, once again, I know a couple people that like this movie, sadly. I'm sorry, but my number 7 is Paul Blart 2.
Ugh.
I think I've talked about this a couple of times as well. It would be a horrible, 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 horrible movie if I just wasn't so flabbergasted by the fact that not a fucking thing happens in it.
Mm-mm.
You can't tell when it's supposed to be funny because fucking nothing's happening. You can't tell when there's a story and when there's not a story because nothing's happening. And they just kind of throw jokes in there that have nothing to do with anything, and not really in kind of the spontaneous, you know, kind of funny way. It's just like reeks of desperation.
It was a blatant cash grab.
Made totally worse by the fact that the first movie was January of 2009. It was one of the first movies to come out 6 years ago. 6.5 years ago when the movie actually came out. That is a lot of time to prepare a sequel.
Yeah.
That's about the amount of time that Cameron had to make Terminator 2 after the first one. Think about that.
Wow.
James Cameron made... I mean, I know he's James Cameron. I know that gives him the upper hand.
Indeed.
But just think about this. James Cameron made The Terminator, and in the same amount of time, it took to make Paul Blart 1 to Paul Blart 2, made Terminator 2. It just kind of makes you...
It makes me cringe.
But then, you know, Happy Madison. That kind of explains everything. It's like you need an explanation of like why a movie's bad, and then you just kind of show somebody the Happy Madison logo, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, damn."
Kevin James signing that Netflix deal this week.
So, yeah, there's just no reason this movie should exist. Like, not even as a cash grab, really. I didn't even like. It kind of feels like an incomplete movie too. Like, this is just kind of ideas they were jotting down that were possible, and they realized they needed, like, an entire first half of the movie to fill in. So it's just, let's just do nothing. Let's just literally do nothing. I don't understand this movie.
I don't understand this franchise.
I have been stumped by Paul Blart 2. My number 6 is The Boy Next Door. Once again, though, has found a fan base in people that think it's, you know, one of those trashy movies that's really fun to watch, you know, like Drunk with Friends or something.
Oh, right, it's trashy.
But, no, I just kind of find this movie annoying, really. And there's really Yeah, it's just kind of one of those movies that has really, really... Like, it's not even really fun in a bad way. It's just kind of aggravating. It's one of those movies where there's so many different ways you could fix this problem, but everybody in the movie is a fucking moron. And I get the worst... and that's the thing, though, is it's one... Like, I'm really not about this so bad it's good crazy, but I mean, I'm not trying to, like, seem above or anything or anybody, but it's... That just shit doesn't work for me. Never. So there's to give them credit. I don't know whether it's because of that. I don't know whether I'm giving them credit or I'm shutting them down. But regardless, it's a fucking problem, and that is the fact that it's supposed to be serious. I think.
Yeah.
So this was just kind of lose-lose. If you play this up to be serious, you're failing miserably, and if you made it with the intention of being bad, that's just fucking lazy. I know you're gonna get fans that way, but it's lazy. And you suck. And who did this? It was, Rob Cohen, I think, did it? The guy that did, like, the first Fast and Furious movie. And he did, I think Triple X might be his. And Alex Cross with Tyler Perry.
Oh, wow.
So the guy is, like, he's got a questionable filmography, but he's made some decent action movies. By that I mean the Fast and the Furious. But it's just... I don't know. Yeah, you can take this movie for what it is, but for how you see it, it's just one of those movies. But the way I see it is completely dumb, about complete idiots, and is lazy and derivative. Okay. My number 5 is The Ridiculous Six.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of them, they're back already. Holy shit. So, as I said, I just reviewed it relatively recently. They basically thought they were going to make some kind of Blazing Saddles Western spoof thing.
Right. In
the vein of Mel Brooks. Yep, Sandler's writing team thinks they're Mel Brooks now.
Oh.
So, Sandler, of course, plays a Native American who can fight well by running on his hands and is a knife expert. I don't know.
No one knows.
And his Mexican brother, who is Rob Schneider, his insert PC term here, other brother, Taylor Lautner, and Terry Crews, because he's black, is a brother, Luke Wilson, and Jorge Garcia. Who's basically playing Chewbacca. And it's not as funny as it sounds. Not even close. Well, like I said, it was redeemed by the one funny scene with John Turturro, but this is kind of Happy Madison at their lowest. I know you thought that was Grown Ups 2. I really know you thought that was Grown Ups 2. But I think they just... Like, the movie's 2 hours long. Like, 2 full hours. And as I said before, I actually had to stop watching it after 10 minutes. I actually looked at the time on Netflix.
That's funny.
10 minutes. And I had to pick it back up 2 weeks later just to review it. Alright. So... And it gets more and more embarrassing as it goes, up to and including the final half hour that happens after it should have already ended, where it starts to try to be serious. And that... Where do you go from there? Sandler's next movie, Happy Madison's next movie, has to be better than Ridiculous Six by default.
Oh, wow.
I really don't think there's any possible way they can go... Okay. I make it sound like Grown Ups 2 is kind of rising a little bit. No, they're about the same. Ridiculous Six and Grown Ups 2, they're kind of on the same level.
I hate both of them. Well, I hate Grown Ups so much.
There's really not... I could have just told you, Sandler's new movie, it's a spoof with Westerns, and had a troubled production because everybody was offended by it. And they didn't care. They didn't care. They didn't give one shit of the fact that they brought people on the set just to offend them and then make them leave. There's just... It's just... This movie's kind of the devil. So, if you want to go back to another Sandler movie.
I was getting ready to say that, yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. My fourth is Vacation. Which I reviewed for about an hour. So I think I covered everything there. But the main issue is just... they think it's funny to be extremely disgusting and extremely raunchy for the sake of being raunchy. And I don't mean disgusting as in, like, your average, ordinary, gross-out gags. I mean this movie is just revolting.
Yeah.
To a horrible degree. To where there's gross-out gags, and there is just absolutely desperately trying to reach the absolute edge that you can, but not in the admirable, they're really pushing the envelope way. In the, I wish the writers of this movie were standing right in front of me so I could puke into their faces and just rub it in. Yes, it was John Francis Daly and whoever that other guy was.
Jonathan Goldstein.
The guys who are in charge of Spider-Man now. Yeah.
That worries me.
So, and you bring in, just to add insult to injury, you bring in Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo to make Beverly D'Angelo at least had, she didn't get to do fucking anything. They completely did not use her to her fullest in any way whatsoever. She has a couple of lines and then she just kind of disappears. But she was the lucky one. Because Chevy Chase has to make a goddamn fool of himself. And yes, don't get me fucking started on Ron Livingston again. This was just one of those movies that was just dead from the get-go. Like I said, there are those people that would say, I'll see it just because it's a vacation movie, and oh, Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo are in it. I know those people, and those people saw the TV spots for this and didn't want any part of it. Everybody kind of knew what this was going on. Like I said, this feels like it should be reaching kind of what I thought The Duff was going to do. It should be reaching notorious levels of fucking nobody likes it. Only issue, though, is I've actually talked to a couple of people that did. They're very, very lax about their movie-going experience, as you can probably guess. And that's what you just have to be. You have to not give one damn shit about what you're getting yourself into when you go to the movies. In order to enjoy this. But I imagine if you have any ounce of sanity, most people won't. So, yeah, a lot of wasted cameos, too. But let's just keep going. My number 3 is Gem and the Holograms. Once again, I was the only person in the theater. You weren't there. There was no audience. There were no fans of the show. There was nothing but me in there with myself. And I thought I was living a nightmare. It was like a bad dream. It's like, I seriously feel like I'm the only person that's knowing this movie exists. And I want it out of my head now. You know those things in your life that you learn at a young age that you kind of wish you never knew to keep your innocence? This movie. If I could take this movie completely out, that would be great. They basically did, once again, I know nothing about this show, but supposedly they just kind of crucified their fans by making it.
It was garbage from what they did.
That's just from what I told you. You didn't even see it.
I said it in the review, though, when you were talking about it. I used to watch this, and it made me really angry to hear what they did to it.
They take all the cliches. They take the I hate you, but we're gonna fuck cliche. They take the we're an up-and-coming band that gets famous by going viral thing, and then, oh, one of them might be more important than the rest, and the band will break up, but they'll get back together because they've been friends since... You've seen the whole thing before in better movies, and those better movies sucked too. But the thing, dancing robot, there's a fucking dancing robot in this. Yep. So, I say that as I'm wearing a shirt for the movie with BB-8 in it. But, seriously, a whole different thing. Trust me. You don't want to see this fucking thing. Especially since it's apparently supposed to be like a giant 80s computer. Yes. It's a dancing robot now.
It's not synergy.
So, yeah, every single thing this movie could have done wrong, it totally did wrong. Up to and including its massive fan base. Like, there's, like, after I saw it, I was like, what, like, I'm not the only one, right? So I went to YouTube and I looked up other reviews. And pretty much every single review for this movie is a fan that's, like, being sent into depression.
That's why I didn't watch it, because I didn't want to deal with that.
It was sad. Like, I could not watch those at all. It's like, some of them I almost felt like they might have been suicide notes. They posted that video, and then I was like, maybe I should look up this person. Like, search their name and then obituary to make sure nothing comes up.
Wow.
Okay. MASH may tell us that suicide is painless. This movie's not. My number 2 is Clown. Oh, this movie gets... I've been talking about this movie all year with people, and I just... God, this movie is fucking despicable. Like, I get it, okay? Like I said, I understand that they were going to do something campy and really over the top. But this movie is a dead serious movie about a guy who goes to his child's birthday party and puts on a clown suit. Only trouble is that clown suit is evil, and it's like this ancient evil from a cave or something, and it turns him into this cave monster. That so he's like the suit kind of becomes a part of him until he is a monster. And once you're this monster, you eat and murder children brutally. Sometimes their parents are around. Sometimes you're just gnawing on their bloody bones. Sometimes you're throwing their body parts at other children. I'm not totally in... There's things that can go really dark that I can be into. It's not just like this, oh no, they murder children and stuff like that. Yeah, that's fucking terrible. But there are movies to where it can not... Especially if it's like really over the top and campy. It's like, you know, whatever. That's just kind of the style. But this movie's so fucking... just... really makes you sick, and not like even in the effective way, just in the you just really really want this movie to fucking stop whatever it's doing. And they just jump right into it, and the whole thing, like even before he's eating children, the whole thing just has a really discomforting, unpleasant vibe. And like I said, not even in probably the way they were going for, which is, you know, good, we were effective, we did what we wanted to, we made you uncomfortable. No. There are movies like May, where you could make me incredibly uncomfortable and disturb the shit out of me and just make me just absolutely repulsed. But I respect movies like May because of the way they pull that off. This is not like that. This is just, there's no admiration here. This is just nothing, I feel nothing but disgust towards this movie. And it's like, another one of those movies they plastered Eli Roth's name on. And he's in there once as like a clown on TV. But there's just really nothing redeeming about this movie. I don't fucking like it at all. And I'm really glad should be the last time I have to talk about it, finally. But good God, if you have just even an ounce of humanity in your soul, you don't even if gore and all that is kind of your thing, and dark movies that are just vicious, you know, even if that's really your thing, just kind of, there are other movies out there. Do the humanity within you a favor and just never fucking see this. Just all right, having said that,
I know where this is going.
My number 1 hasn't really changed. Like, it's not really... This isn't necessarily a movie I passionately hate. Maybe once I start talking about it again, I will. But this isn't a movie I necessarily feel passionate to hate towards, like I do a lot of movies that have topped this list over the years. But it's just a movie that's just so bad, it just kind of fits in the number 1 spot. I'm still, to this day, talking about Accidental Love. The movie that was originally called Nailed and was on Jake Gyllenhaal's IMDb page since 2008, that they shot way back then, and the production was so fucked up that people had to leave the set because of SAG rules, because the movie production had no money. David O. Russell is the director, but the name Stephen Green that you see on it, that is David O. Russell. He had his name taken off of it. It just really, really got that bad. It's one of those notorious production movies. Only sometimes those movies come out really well, like The Revenant. The Revenant had a really, really troubled production, but you would hardly think so looking at that fucking masterpiece of a movie. But then there are movies to where you can fucking tell, and everybody fucking knows. everybody involved in it too. Like I said, we got Gyllenhaal doing his like Nightcrawler and like Jarhead and Zodiac, and what are his other really great parts that have been coming around? There's a number of them. This movie reduces him back to Bubble Boy. That's the kind of performance we get from him. He's in the jungle with the Tarzan thing, and he's getting into fights and for moose balls as a trophy, which has nothing to do with anything. There are actual portions there. It's actually in IMDb's trivia. If this movie doesn't make sense to you, it's because there's shit missing. They decided to go because, you know, Gyllenhaal was getting these really big parts and really, really becoming a face of acting. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of other people in the movie, like Marsden and Tracy Morgan, and so many people like it. Paul Rubens is in there. Jessica Biel is the main star. And, of course, you know, David R. Russell. So another party just kind of said, we're just going to put this together and then just kind of throw it out there what we have. But the issue with that is there are scenes in the script that were not shot. Because the production just shut down. Because just everything was fucking going wrong with us. So when they put it together, they didn't even pay attention to the fact that there are scenes missing to make other shit in the movie make sense. That now does not make sense. This is how we make movies now, I guess.
Glad I did not watch this movie.
Yes, much like many of the other movies I mentioned here, if there was going to be something on this movie, just anything on this movie that was going to go wrong, it all did. So, that was the bottom of the barrel for this year for me anyway, apart from the couple I'm not even going to bother mentioning.
Alright. I got the tablet here, because sometimes I forget things, obviously. I'm not going to go 30 minutes, at least I don't think I am, but we'll see.
That's right.
We'll see where we go. Really.
Let's get going.
My dishonorable mention is Hitman Agent 47. 2007, Timothy Olyphant's movie, I really enjoyed.
Why?
I did. I just enjoyed his portrayal. I don't know what it was.
He only did it to, what was it? He needed to pay for his house or something.
I'm not saying it was a good movie. I'm saying I enjoyed him in the movie.
He actually said that, though.
That's interesting, actually. And when I heard the Hitman franchise was going to be rebooted, apparently this was originally going to be Paul Walker in 2013.
I think I remember that.
And then Rupert Friend signed on, and that's what we've got. So, it just didn't work at all. I mean, it was an action movie. It was just like a blatant action movie. It didn't feel much like a video game as much as it could have.
It's the Terminator.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's a straight rip-off of the Terminator.
It's Terminator 1, and then we introduce Zachary Quinto, and it turns into Terminator 2.
But it fails at both. So, yeah, I didn't like it at all. It's not high enough to make the list, but I do have to mention how much I don't like it. So.
It's boring, too.
It's really boring. Yes, thank you for, hitting the high notes there so I can...
move along.
Yes, thank you. Oh, Jesus. My number 9 is Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. I've had it out for this franchise since day one. I think this is one of the stupidest concepts for a movie I think I've ever seen. And the fact that it did so well to bring in a sequel, it just blows my mind at what people like nowadays.
There's something in the concept if it maybe wasn't a comedy. Because obviously the first movie is Die Hard.
It's Die Hard. But if I want to watch a mall cop movie, I'll watch Observe and Report.
Yeah.
Because it's far superior. And if AJ would review Paul Blart on Versus, we'd do that one. But I know that's not going to happen. So we're basically just putting it out there that if you want a real good mall cop movie, watch Observe and Report.
The first one didn't bother me much. It's dumb.
It's stupid.
And it's not, necessarily good. But I've seen it like 3 times. Because it just doesn't... And it's one of those cases where nothing else was on.
Okay.
It's totally harmless.
There's always something else on. There's YouTube videos to be watching. Come on.
It's easy. When you see all the depressing shit I see, seeing 250 movies a year...
Right.
Like Clown.
Yeah.
Soul-crushing stuff. Something so easy as the first Paul Blart... It kind of cleanses the soul a little bit because it just goes by so Easily.
Obviously, with Austin and Ally just recently ending, with Rainy Rodriguez being in this movie, the storyline she has with David Hendry, which is like a Disney Channel reunion, basically, because he was on Wizards of Waverly Place. I kind of dug that, but just the concept of going to Las Vegas for a mall cop convention just is not something that should have happened.
And there's no point to set it in Vegas because he never leaves the hotel.
Nope. I mean, he could have even had slapstick where he tried to, like, play slots and... Yeah, put $1 in one a car, put $1 in one a car. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
4 times.
Exactly. You stopped me before I could say the fourth. So, yeah, I don't like Kevin James. I just don't. He's got to be a really nice guy. I know he was a high school wrestler, so I probably should like the guy. And in The Zookeeper, he basically played me. But the thing is, I just don't like the guy's movies. I don't.
I've heard both. I've heard he can be a really nice guy. I've also heard some stories about him being like a diva, but... You can never tell which of those are real or not.
You never know. And he gets paid by Adam Sandler to hang out in exotic locales pretty much a couple times a year. So those movies they make, basically their vacations. So yeah. I'm moving on here because I don't want to talk about this movie all day. My number 9 is actually, just like I did with the best of the year video, I flipped something on the fly. I'm going to flip something on the fly here because I realized how much I really hate this movie a lot more than I thought about it. My number 9 is actually going to be Point Break. We did the original with Fast and the Furious on a Versus a while back when I was in Orlando. And I remember how great the movie was. And apparently I had a notification for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's just boring. It's just every single, like, extreme sports movie you could ever want that should have went straight to video.
With no extreme sports in it.
With no extreme sports in it. It tries to be that, but it doesn't try to be that at the same time. You got forgettable characters. You don't have any of the punch of the original. I mean, like I said, Teresa Palmer's basically window dressing here. So, I mean, it's just not a very well-done movie.
She's supposed to be Lori Petty.
Yeah, exactly.
But they didn't even try there.
And this is great. I'll throw this out. So, we lost this movie after a couple days. And apparently, we've had... The thing at my theater, the record is literally 2 days. It was there on a Wednesday, it left on a Friday. And that was rollerball. So... Rollerball will always have that record, and I'm telling you, Point Break almost challenged for it, because it was a couple days. And sure enough, it left, and we found out it wasn't supposed to leave, so we got it back, and it left just the same. This movie did not need 3D. I don't know why it was done that. It was a cash grab so they could get more money out of the consumers. I get that completely. And if they would have actually followed through with some of the extreme sports they were promising in the trailer, then maybe, just maybe, they would have had a justification of that 3D. Just barely. The surfing scenes were, yeah, I guess.
I don't even remember them.
That was about it. I mean, seriously, just go away. No more. Forget about it. I get a lot of flack for this. My number 8 is Insurgent. I don't like the Divergent series at all.
Who the fuck gives you flack for that?
Just people... There are a group of people out there...
Tell me who they are so I can start hating them.
It's just a generalization of people. It's like a lot of people really love these movies, and they rip off a lot of more successful young adult franchises.
They rip off the rip-offs.
Yeah, exactly. Like this might as well have been a movie that you would see in the $5 bin at Walmart that is a rip-off of a movie like this. So it's not good. I'm tired of the characters. They don't make any sense. Miles Teller's a waste. Shailene Woodley's a waste in it. I mean, granted, it's getting her work, so that's good, but it's just not for this. There's got to be more to this, and I can't wait till this franchise ends and we don't see any more of these movies because I'm sick and tired of them. See, that notification, sick and tired of it too, apparently.
Well, we don't get Kate Winslet anymore, but at least we got Jeff Daniels coming in.
Yeah, that's one good thing.
I'm sure he's got a couple of scenes.
And I think Ansel Elgort is a really bad actor, so he just kind of needs to stop.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a metaphor for the fact you suck as an actor, pal. But the thing is, I'm tired of it. I'm done with it, okay? Just no more. I'm seriously done with it. Speaking of seriously done with it, my number 7 is The Longest Ride. Yeah, you take this title of a movie called The Longest Ride, you base it on rodeo, and you have all the cowboy references and everything, and The Longest Ride is literally a sexual metaphor. How lame is that? Now,
They literally cut to...
I know.
him on the bull to her on top of him, and that cut is actually...
I'm sure Scott Eastwood is a nice guy, and he's going to have great roles. Obviously, it's in his blood to have great roles. This is not one of them. And don't forget, this was the same year that I do get flack for this one, at the fact that I love Tomorrowland so much. This was the same year, so Britt Robertson could have been on both lists this year, both best and worst, but Tomorrowland got bumped off my list at the last minute. I don't like Nicholas Sparks movies. They're starting to become a parody of themselves, because he's basically ripping himself off at this point. And this was just a all over the place thing that should never have happened in the first place. I just don't understand why they make these movies anymore. Alan Alda, why? Why'd you even do it? Usually when you have the veteran actor that's cast in a Nicholas Sparks movie, spoiler alert, you're probably gonna die. So that doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen most of the time, so...
The funniest one by far was the last song.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Greg Kinnear, you're here. That's great. Oh, by the way, you have cancer for no reason.
It seems like it's like, bam, it's a completely change everything. I just don't like this movie at all. And there's nothing redeeming about it, and there's nothing redeeming about anything I'm about to talk about and what I've already talked about. The fact that this made money just makes me sad. There is another Nick Sparks movie, book that came out in October that I was reading about here that does not have a movie adaptation yet. Keep it that way, please.
No, it's coming.
I know it is.
It's probably the follow-up to the choice.
Oh, God, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Speaking of movies that should never have happened, my number 6 is Get Hard. Okay. I've said this here. I've said this on podcasts. I've said this on other people's channels. I don't like Kevin Hart. It's not that I don't like him as a person. I don't like his character. I mean, he's a third-rate Chris Tucker ripoff, and he's just not good. His roles are getting parody to the point now that he basically, if you need someone to yell in a movie, just hire Kevin Hart. And I've only enjoyed him once in a movie, and that was it. And that was only because there was a throwaway line that was it. His stand-up's great. I have no problem with his stand-up. His stand-up's fine. He's just not a great actor, and I don't understand why everybody likes him. He doesn't have a likable personality in his films. I don't like the characters. And AJ does not like Will Ferrell. This is clear. Clear to anybody that's been watching these videos.
Every time it comes time to make this list, I keep forgetting that this movie even exists.
But Will Ferrell... I don't have as much issue with Ferrell as much as AJ does. Obviously, I still have a little bit of faith in him when he's in a movie, but it's starting to slip away. I mean, this movie concept, the guy basically is going to go to a prison that is basically for people that don't really do anything. It's kind of like one of those ritzy prisons and everything, and he gets nailed, and now he goes to the only black person he knows to try to teach him how to be hard so he can get into the big house. And I was like...
Despite the fact that he's never been to prison.
Yeah. But he lies saying that he is, because he tries to work him in every way.
The whole movie is a race joke.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
A race joke and a dick joke, obviously, from the title.
So stupid. So ridiculous. I'm done. I'm seriously done with this. I mean... I'm looking at the cast here, and I'm like, I shake my head. Like, John Mayer, like, seriously, why? Why are you in this movie? Like, Shad Gaspard, Crime Time, why are you in this movie? It's cool that you're in a movie, that's awesome, but, I mean, Craig T. Nelson, why are you in this movie? Seriously. Kevin Hart is a caricature of himself, basically, now. He's going to be an animated character before too long, if it hasn't happened already.
I think it might be in production now.
It would not surprise me. Let's get to the bottom 5 now. Oh, dear God. I made a switch on this one because I realized being a fan of the genre and being a fan of this original movie, this movie, like, pissed me off. My number 5 is Sinister 2. Okay. The original Sinister had me so, like, unnerved. Like, usually when a movie ends, like, when you go to the, when we're going to the first credit roll, I'm usually like, I'm going to sit in the chair and I'm going to be like, let's talk to AJ for a minute, wait till the marks get out of the theater and clear out a little bit so we can go on our merry way and film for you guys. But in this case, the second that movie was over, I got out and I got the hell out of there. This movie had terrified me in ways that I didn't think were possible. Like, this and The Conjuring are both, like, neck and neck when it comes to, like, terrifying movies for me. The concept was phenomenal, and it actually worked in every way possible. So what do you do when you're a horror movie that actually works? You create a sequel, and you ruin everything. All the wonderful things about the Bagul character. You don't need his backstory. That's what makes him terrifying, because there's no reason for him to exist. He's just there. I mean, literally, he's there. He's, like, right behind you, and if you're looking at a picture, he could look right back at you. I mean, these were terrifying things to see in the first Sinister. And then you take, and, like, okay, fine. Let's make more money. Let's do another one. The kill tapes, I'll give them credit. They were longer.
The thing that hurts even more is, wasn't Scott Derrickson still a writer on this one?
He wrote and produced it, so he did both. And it's just, it was a lost opportunity. Like, the kills were awesome in this one. They were a lot longer, they were a lot more elaborate, so much to the point that they were even less believable in the first one. The first one was a little bit more believable that you could have something, and I still can't look at the word yard work and not think about that. Ugh. Just gives me chills. And I can totally imagine it, Halloween Horror Nights. But the thing is, it's just, it seemed like it had a great thing going. It had like the ghost children and everything, and then that became redundant. And then Bagul basically became not as terrifying. He was just kind of in the background every once in a while. It's like, yeah, it's Bagul. He's there again. Yay. So, I mean, it wasn't a big deal like it was in the first one. That's the problem I have with this one. Just, like I said, a lost opportunity. Oh, God. This isn't a lost opportunity as so much as that it's so painful to even talk about. My number 4 is Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Road Chip. In this world, I don't think we should ever see another Smurfs or Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. And we know there's another Smurfs coming out. And this is the other Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. I hope this kills the franchise. I really do. I don't think it will at this point. But I hope it kills the franchise. Jason Lee deserves so much better than this. The only thing good about this is Jason Lee's getting money from it. That's the only thing good. I could see Jason Lee and he gets to make money. So that's 2 great things about it. Other than that, I hate these movies. I grew up on Alvin and the Chipmunks. And I remember watching the animated series. And I remember really enjoying like the music. And I even bought like some of the CDs and everything like that back in the day. And like they totally ruin a lot of things here. And they grab a lot of voice names that you know very well, and they just change their voices, so they could have hired any voice actor in the world to play these parts, and it wouldn't matter. It's... Just stop. Hollywood, just stop, seriously. Some things you just need to let go of. And Alvin and the Chipmunks are one of them. If you like these movies, if you like any of these movies, more power to you, but I don't. And I'm not going to. And nothing about this movie was enjoyable at all. I mean, this is one of those movies that comes out at the end of the year, and it made my list because I disliked it so much.
When I talked about it before, I'm still sorry for screaming at you. All of you.
Yeah, AJ got so angry on it, he almost lost his voice. Like, I haven't seen him cut a promo like that in quite a long time, so it was quite enjoyable. I know a lot of people out there really enjoyed it, and thank you out there for those comments. But the thing is, if you have that much venom to spit about a movie, that's not a good thing.
Well, what's worse is I clearly thought 11 movies were worse.
Yeah. I mean, God, I just don't even want to talk about it anymore. Oh, yeah, another thing, too. That worthless tool Red Foo from LMFAO is in the movie. There's a whole big production number of that's basically in the trailer, but you don't know it because you don't hear the song, but it's like rip-off of Party Rock Anthem, which I think is one of the worst songs that's ever existed. And it's just, anything with that in it is just gonna just drive the movie down for me. Like, sometimes a song will, like, anger me so much that I just don't care anymore. I'm like, I'm gonna completely tune out of your movie. Yeah, so yeah, all the cameos. I will give them one credit to the John Waters cameo. Whenever we see him pop up in a movie, it's really random. And it happens a lot more than you would expect it to happen.
Like when he was the photographer in Seed of Chucky.
Yes, exactly. Alright, so we're in the top 3 now, or should I say the bottom 3. Yeah, we've already talked about these, and AJ's already talked about these, but the order is a lot different in this case. Number 3 is The Gallows. First off, so they're setting up a really awesome atmosphere in the trailer, and of course, this is the thing where you don't watch trailers really comes into handy. You just hear this. You hear this like this new version of a popular song. I believe it was Nirvana, wasn't it?
Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah, it was a very slow version of Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Think Up Anger is the band that did it.
Yeah. And it was awesome. And it sounded great. And the trailer looked like it was going to be fun. I mean, obviously, as much as a horror movie can be, but still, I mean, it was going to be something enjoyable. But I watched the movie, and then I saw Charlie and his noose and his third-rate scarecrow costume. Is just one of those things that just took me completely out of it. I mean, this movie angered horror fans and drama fans at the same time. Because one of your main characters is the daughter of Kathy Lee Gifford. That's another weird thing about this movie, too. I mean, they took a lot of things that could have been paranormal about it, and they completely, like, mess with reality, and I like the idea everything was set in the same place, and that worked fine. But then you actually watch the movie, and then you find out that this is a joke, and it was a joke to horror, it was a joke to horror fans in general, and it should never have been made. It's just, they were building up, it's like, oh, all the Freddy, Jason, Chucky, Leatherface, Charlie. I was like, what? Who's Charlie? Seriously. Didn't they already do this before with, like, Hatchet? To try to, like, build up the next, like, horror icon? With Crowley and Hatchet? I mean, seriously, it comes to mind for me. I mean, just... And Jason Blum? Really? I mean, you'll do anything at this point, I think. You make some great movies, but you need to stay away from producing others, to be honest.
Made even worse by the fact that his name is on Whiplash.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? My number 2 was my number 1 for the longest time, and this was until I saw number 1. My number 2 is The Boy Next Door. For something about this movie really hit me, like, hard. My despising of this movie is just ridiculous. Like, if you watch AJ talking about this and my number 1, you would see me, like, I can't say growling, but, like, I was like, I don't want to hear about this anymore. I just want to stop talking right now. Yeah, this just was a garbled mess that should have been left in the 90s on Cinemax at 3 o'clock in the morning. Jennifer Lopez.
It probably would have been Halle Berry.
Oh, God, it probably would have, you're right. Jennifer Lopez, like, just no. Just no. I've never been a major fan of hers, but God, this is terrible. This movie is horrible in every way possible. When I heard about this movie, I was like, I do not want this movie to come out. I hope it gets cut. I know it's not going to because we have a trailer for it, but still, it would have been nice if we got rid of it. It just, some of these movies just make me agitated to be a movie goer because then I have to watch them. Or I eat too much or sleep through them or something like that, and then I don't have to worry about it, so it's one of those things. It's just, this movie was terrible. Absolutely horrible. Yeah, Blumhouse is behind this too. They produced the film. So yeah, Jason Blum. Not on my favorite list right now, sir.
Poor John Corbett.
Yeah, John, yeah, no lie, man. Just like, look at this, like, yeah, Corbett being here, Kristen Chenoweth being in here. I mean, her, like, basically, like, they're setting up her death and everything, and so it comes out of nowhere. It's like, it's just a terrible, terrible movie. And it should not have been made. And who is this guy? Ryan Guzman?
He was just in something else that I saw.
Weird. To the interwebs, since I have my tablet right here and now.
He was something else from this year.
Yeah, he's in Gem and the Holograms. And he was Sean in Step Up All In. From 2014.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Wow, this guy is trying to kill movies as we know it.
Speaking of killing movies as we know it, my number 1 for 2015 is Vacation. Okay. So, Bill and Ted. I always talk about Bill and Ted. Always makes its way into pop in one way or another. The opening of Bill and Ted for 2015 were the Griswold family coming out And the line was, "I don't think anyone wants to see a new Vacation, Dad." And the response was, "It's already too late." I'm the only one that laughs at that reference. Why? Because this movie right here killed all the love I had for the entire Vacation series. That's how much I hate this movie. This movie is an abomination that never should have been made, and I'll give you another one too. So, poster room, obviously all the posters come down, we get rid of them, or other people get them, one way or another, they disappear. Well, there was a Vacation poster, and I basically took the entire shift in kicking it, and stomping it, and reducing it to nothing. Not so much that I burned my ticket stub or anything like that, we've done that before, but obviously I didn't hold the fire, because I don't use fire. But the thing is, I hate this movie. I do. I really hate this movie a lot. And there's nothing redeeming about it. There's nothing good about it. Chevy Chase, man, seriously, just stop. Don't be Clark Griswold anymore, unless you read the script first. And if you read this script and you thought this was a good idea, you don't need money that bad. Seriously. You don't. You don't need to work that bad. I mean, I'm sure people will gladly, take you to some sort of convention, let you make money signing autographs, which I sure will make not as much money as this movie made, but if you do it enough times, you're going to make comparable amounts, so that's all that matters. Just don't make any more of these movies. Don't tarnish the franchise of Vacation. It's already bad enough National Lampoons makes a new movie. Wait a minute. Now? And now? Now? Yeah, seriously, they just made 3 movies in the times I just said to say that, so because every 5 seconds, it seems like they have a new movie out straight to video. Or straight to DVD or whatever. But still, it's just, no. Just stop. No more. I thought this movie was a bad idea when I first heard about it. I thought it was a worse idea when I saw the trailer. And when I saw the movie, it made me question my love of film in the first place. I just hate this movie. And it is more than deserving of my worst film of 2015. Rest in peace, 2015. You will not be missed.
Well, sure. Well, it gave us plenty. It gave us 2 masterpieces.
Now, hold on. I'm talking about the bad movies of 2015. These movies that we talked about today, the ones that overlapped, obviously, on both of our lists, and the ones that were on one list and not on the other, we do not want to ever talk about these movies again. The best of the list, the best of the year list that we talked about, we will gladly talk about those again. But this list, no more. It's done. Finished. Kaput. We finally put our cap on 2015, and the only thing left to do now is we have our BAFTA video with Ashley, we have our Spirit Awards video with Ashley, and we have our Academy Awards video with Ashley, and then we will finally be done with 2015 in almost March. So, that being said, if you haven't checked out the Best of the Year video, it's on here on the channel. If you haven't checked out the Worst of the Half Year and the Best of the Half Year video, also on this channel as well, so check those out. And also our predictions for the Screen Actors Guild Awards, which also includes all the guilds, the big awards for those, that's on this channel right now. And we'll have more predictions coming up very soon. So, that being said, we want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching us in 2015 and continuing to support the Podcast Network in 2016. And that's all we got for the day. So, AJ, any parting words? This year's finally over, and that's all we got to say about that.